Welcome, Jim from Avstar. Well, I just sit here now, in awe, shaking my head, because this should never have happened. Donald Trump should never have done what he did the other day with Iran. And now he has unleashed, hell upon America as a result of that. Do you think air travel now is going to be safe in the future? In fact, do you think anything is going to be safer in the future? When you're in a shopping mall and Iranians with automatic weapons just open fire on the crowd. That will be the results of what Donald Trump did the other day. And he's telling everyone how much of a success it was, but there is no confirmation of that. According to Iranians, they still have their enriched uranium, and that they are now going to continue to fully enrich it. They appealed to the United Nations and got an emergency meeting put together, and the United Nations supported, most of them, what America did. And we live as a result of this sort of behaviour now in a world that don't listen to anybody. Bernie Sanders was right with what he said the other day during a rally that he was doing. He was passed a note explaining what Donald Trump had just did, attacking those 3 nuclear sites in Iran. And he said, this is the problem. He is writing executive orders for whatever he wants to do, and I'm not surprised by people protesting in America right now saying no kings, because that's exactly how he's behaving. He's taken America by doing what he's did in Iran to war illegally. There is only one place he could have got authority to do what he did, and he very likely wouldn't have got it, but it was Congress. That's what the purpose of Congress is. And this stupid man has failed to go through the correct procedures, and he's taken America to war. And if Americans think that they're safer today after his actions in Iran than they was a couple of days ago, you're very wrong. He has supported somebody. I want you to think about this. He has supported, Donald Trump has supported Benjamin Netanyahu, who has an international warrant out for his arrest for war crimes. Tell me that isn't aiding and abetting a criminal. The prices of oil and fuel are going to go through the roof now, because they've already hinted what they're going to do in the Persian Gulf. They're going to shut the route down for 30% of the world's crude oil. Think about that. And at the same time, they have also threatened now to, bring online sleeper cells that are already probably in Europe, in the UK, and all around the world. It weren't just a facility that got blown up. If you think that, then you're very naive, because lots of people have lost their lives in that attack. Remember, Iran weren't attacking America, and Iran wasn't the ones that attacked Israel. Israel started this, and as you will see in comments on these mainstream medias that are covering it very suspiciously, I see a lot of propaganda, but what you will see in the comments section is a lot of people that are saying Iran had a right to defend itself, and does, as a sovereign nation. And if your country, from where you are listening to this right now, was attacked in the same way, you would be hoping that your government would retaliate in the same way what Iran has. Now, if Donald Trump really wanted to go out for somebody over nuclear arms, why did he completely overlook North Korea? Why did he do that? North Korea have openly boasted that they will nuke America. So why didn't Donald Trump, as a first priority, go after North Korea? We are living in, bizarre times. Another radiological leakage on top of the ones that we've already got. Fukushima, the poison's still going into the ocean as a result of that. Then you've got the one in Ukraine. And now this one in Iran. These sort of events, these sort of environmental disasters don't go away in weeks or months or years. They take tens of thousands of years. Tens of thousands of years to reach an half-life, a radioactive half-life, where they become almost inert. Unbelievable times we're living in. These world leaders are out of touch, first of all, with the people. I don't think they understand the problems that me and you are going through and what would really be a beneficial service to us. They're on about only one thing: waxing themselves rich and committing murder. They don't care about the radiological disasters that they're causing, or the encouragement of further terrorism, because that will be the outcome of this attack in Iran, and why all the countries around the world are supporting Donald Trump's actions over this is mind-blowing. It's the world we live in. Criminals supporting more criminals, and human beings caught up, as always, in the crossfire. No one really cares about what's happened in Gaza, but those Palestinians have been treated less favourable than animals from from a race of people that should know only too well, after the Second World War, what it was like to be treated like that. And ironically now we see, Israelis treating, other people like that. It's very sad what's going on. And it is an injustice on an international scale. If people are going to, or world leaders around the world are going to ignore the fact that the International Court has issued warrants out for Bibi Netanyahu's arrest, and nobody does anything about it, right, then that sets precedents for any other respect for any other legal, court in any country. Because the rule of law has to be upheld. And you've got people like Donald Trump, who had an opportunity to place Netanyahu under arrest when he visited the United States, and failed to do so. And go beyond that. Now he's helped Israel start a war on the fourth country in 12 months. Think about that. Lebanon, Gaza, Syria, and now Iran. This will only lead to one thing. You know that, guys, don't you? I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. On top of that, we have this modern censorship that attacks democracy and freedom of speech. I've showed many times what was going on in the 1930s with the fascist Nazi regime, how they, burned the literature that they considered wasn't appropriate material for people to read, regardless of whether, you know, those people chose to or not. They burned those books. They attacked the freedom. They silenced people. And we are living with another fascist system and leaders that have the same mentality. And just because you haven't heard of these factories being built yet, and I say yet, like they did in the 1930s, late 1930s. I'm talking about Auschwitz, the death factory for killing human beings, purposely built to kill human beings. Just because you haven't seen one of those yet doesn't mean that that mentality's gone anywhere, because it's still very much here today. And demonstrations like what we've witnessed in the last few weeks, more so in the last couple of days, from the behaviour of people like Donald Trump, that doesn't no longer consult, you know, Congress about his actions to take America to war. He just goes and does it. Tells me that we are living in very extreme, dark times. Not only did he attack Iran, he attacked nuclear facilities. Yeah, unheard of behaviour. You know, I just feel sorry now for the people that are breathing like us, you know, me and you right now, listening to this maybe. But they're going to be caught up in unforeseen circumstances down the road now as a result of this. Iran, you know, activating splinter cells, you know, sleeper cells. And it'll be those innocent people that get gunned down or blew up or poisoned or hijacked when they're travelling. Yeah. And that'll be the repercussion of his actions. Or some of the repercussions. He should have been condemned. He should be now put before the tribunal of the International Court, Donald Trump. And he should face, you know, the reprimand for his actions. You know, it's not just that. I have never seen anyone. He's like a maniac. He's upset every one of his allies, even his neighbouring countries, Mexico and Canada. You know, he put tariffs on everybody around the world. Well, you know, he blamed the reason for the tariffs, the legal reason for it, was because fentanyl was coming through the border and poisoning American citizens. So, okay, you put tariffs on Mexico. You said it was coming through the Canadian border, even though it was less than 1%, but you put tariffs on them. What about the rest of the world? What about, you know, fancy putting tariffs on islands where penguins only inhabit? Do you understand what I'm saying? It just doesn't make any logic sense what he's done. He's ruined the tourist industry in America, costing it billions, costing e-commerce billions and billions. Did you see the stock markets collapsing every time he said he was going to increase tariffs on other countries? This is a man out of control. And you know what shocks me? Is that people will still support him and think what he's doing is absolutely necessary. And that tells me how much we live amongst people that have very low IQs. They're not very smart, and that they make, you know, really illogical decisions. Now, we've all got to wait and see. And let's hope that none of us get caught up in this. To say what I usually do, you know, you take care of your loved ones, and I hope, you know, and pray that you're never caught up in anything that's going to be, you know, that is unfortunately going to catch up with some people. As always, bye for now.